Ladies and gentlemen, once again we got to talk. So there's an audio clip of Ari Lennox going around, and she's talking about my favorite TV show of all time, Martin. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about. Well, first I want to play the video, and then I want to talk about the two different perspectives that jumped into my brain as soon as I heard it. All right. So first, let's go ahead and listen to the video or listen to the audio, and then we'll go from there.
That pissed me off about Martin was how much he would go on Pam. I'm not like too woke or something is what I'm trying to say. Like I'm honestly problematic. I'm pretty problematic, low key. But my point is that there are some things where I draw the line and it just bothered me. Or like Pam was so beautiful and so fine, and I just feel like growing up as a chocolate girl, I don't even know if I was able to understand the greatness of Pam because of the light that I feel like I was being fed of, just like always going on Pam, always like that's all I remember. It just would piss me off, like the joking on Pam. I just didn't like that.
Was she gonna?
All right, so there's the video, or I keep saying video, but you know what I'm saying. There's the audio clip. I'm gonna tell you about the first perspective, then I'll go about the second perspective that I had that I really do want us all to be a little bit more mindful of. So the first thought that came to mind was, what is this fool talking about? That was my first thought. I'm sure you had a pretty similar thought. Maybe you're thinking that right now, thinking that Ari Lennox might be a little crazy, might be overreacting, mainly because if you watch the show, you'll know that, yeah, Martin had some funny jokes that he would say about Pam, but none of those jokes were about her being too dark or ugly or anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't anything to do with her color, ever. He never talked about her being too dark. He would even talk about light skinned folks on the show. He would talk about Gina saying her hair was big all the time. So it wasn't this thing about him comparing light skinned people to dark skinned people. I just don't understand that comparison that Arya is saying when she said that it just made her not want to not see the full beauty of herself because she's dark and Pam is dark. That was just kind of weird to me. I don't fully relate and connect to that. Um, but my second thought was, I think it's important for us not to say that somebody's crazy or somebody's dumb because they're telling us how they feel about something. You can control how you think, or I'm sorry, you can control what you say, but you can't control the way you feel about something. So when somebody shares how they feel, it doesn't make sense to kill them over that. It doesn't make sense just to badger them and tell them that they're crazy or dumb because that's how they feel about something. Just to give you a little bit more information on this. So I'm sure some of y'all have heard about Trump, whom I cannot stand. I think is probably the worst person on earth. But Trump is now saying that he will give the Washington Commanders, he will potentially give them a new stadium if they change from the Commanders back to the Redskins. And there's a whole lot of fans from Washington who are excited about this, about them potentially going back to the Redskins. But what I try to stress to these folks is there are people out there who are telling you that the name Redskin offends them. So if they are telling you that it offends them, if they are telling you that it offends them, it's not on us to say, "Oh, you tripping, man. You overreacting. You shouldn't be thinking that way. That's crazy." That's what a lot of us are doing to Ari Lennox right now. She's telling us the way that this is making her feel. And my first reaction, and maybe yours too, is to say, "You shouldn't feel like that, man. You crazy." This kind of reminds me of back when I was working at one of the last jobs I had. So right now I own a few businesses. I've got 120 employees. I pray to never have to work for anybody ever again. Um, but I remember one of the last jobs that I had, I was a manager overseeing this huge aircraft manufacturer. It was, I think, 14,000 people there. I was overseeing 104 of those employees. So I was, I was one of the only black folks that was in management at this location. So what would happen is I would be standing here next to a couple of the other managers, and one of the managers from this other company would always walk up to us and say, "Hey, how you doing, sir? How you doing, sir?" to those guys. And then she would look at me and she'd say, "What up, Jay?" And I'm like, why is this 65-year-old lady, or 65-year-old white lady, approaching one black guy and two white guys. She approaches the two white guys, shaking their hands and saying, "Hey, how's it going, sir? How's it going, sir?" And then she looks at me and says, "What up, Jay?" I'm like, I don't talk like that. I'm at work. That's not how I talk. You know what I'm saying? So whenever I explained to them that I didn't appreciate that, their response to me was, "Oh man, you tripping. You overreacting. It's not that big a deal." So just food for thought, man. Um, hopefully I'm not coming across too preachy on this, but I really do think it's important for us not to just kill Ari Lennox about her sharing how she feels about this situation. Once again, do I think it sounds a little weird? Yeah, I do. But who am I to tell her what she should feel, right? So that's my thoughts on this, man. Take it or leave it. I figured I figured I'd go ahead and share my thoughts on it. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support as always. So take care, God bless. Peace.